Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to do my February wrap-up. February is a hard word to say, so bear with me. I finished 4 books in February, which I'm kind of proud of because I felt like I was in a reading slump like all month. It felt like it took forever to get through any of the books on this list, and February is a short month to begin with. The first book I finished was Turtles All the Way Down by John Green. This was a reread for me. I have read it twice before, so this was my 3rd time reading it. I listened to the audiobook actually. I just listened to the whole thing in a day because I think it's my favorite John Green book. I've read all of his books except for Let It Snow, and I definitely like some of his books better than others. I really like Looking for Alaska. I like The Fault in Our Stars. I don't really like An Abundance of Catherines, Will Grayson, or Paper Towns as much, but Turtles All the Way Down is his most recent young adult novel. It was published back in 2017, and it's kind of more of an introspective story about a girl who suffers from OCD. OCD is never named in the book, but based on John Green's interviews, I think we can surmise that that is the condition that she suffers from. And in the middle of that, they're kind of solving a murder mystery of a man's disappearance, but that's not the main plot of the book. That is B plot. An A plot really isn't a plot. It's just Asa, the main character, facing her internal struggle. It's a really hard book to explain because it is so introspective. Again, it is one of my favorite, I think it is my favorite John Green book. And there are a lot of Star Wars references, actually, if you are a Star Wars fan. I get something new out of this book every time. Even though it's a young adult book, something different resonates with me every time. It's not really a comfort read because it kind of makes me cry on every page, but it is one of those books that I find easy to come back to, and I come back to it at certain points during my life when I need it, So the second book I finished, again, it was an audiobook, and I checked it out from my library, so I don't have it. It was Why We Sleep, Unlocking the Power of Sleep and Dreams by Matthew Walker. It was all about sleep. Some parts were more interesting than others. The book as a whole I thought was really interesting, and I learned so much about sleep and how vastly important it is. It's probably the most important thing in our lives. It's not a book I can really review because it is nonfiction, but I found it really fascinating and learned a lot. It is probably a book that's good for everyone to read since we all need sleep desperately. 2 recommendations: read the book and then go get some sleep tonight. The 3rd book I finished was also an audiobook from my library, so I don't have it. Dooku, Jedi Lost by Cavan. I've been wanting to read this book for a really long time because I love the prequel era of Star Wars, and I was really interested to learn more about Count Dooku and kind of his fall to the dark side, and also Ventress too. This book, I believe, originally was an Audible exclusive, but now it's on other platforms too, and they published a physical copy too. It is primarily an audio production, so the print copy is just a script, and I didn't know that until I went to buy it, and I'm oh, I would rather listen to this than read it. So I think it does work better as an audiobook. However, I didn't really love it. I just felt like it wasn't as focused as I wanted to be. It tried to cover too much during Dooku's span of life, and then it also pulled Ventress in too, and I don't know, there was too much happening in the book to where the big events didn't even seem significant because it covered such a big span of time. To be honest, I tuned out a lot of it. Although, if you're wondering about Sifo Dyas and his relationship with Dooku, and not really how the clones came to be, because that's not necessarily covered. Sifo Dyas and Dooku, this book does explain their friendship a little bit better. It also explains the Count part of Count Dooku's name. So it does offer some interesting and necessary exposition and backstory to his character, but I just didn't really love the way that it was executed. So I think I gave this one 2 stars. And the 4th book I finished was a collection of poetry called Life on Mars by Tracy K. Smith. And I am trying to get into poetry, this year, but I really know nothing. This won the Pulitzer Prize, and this author was Poet Laureate of the United States for two or 3 years, and I had never heard of her. So, yeah, I'm starting off knowing nothing. Anyway, I discovered this book because I follow a poetry account on Instagram called Poetry Is Not a Luxury, and they posted one of her poems, and I fell in love with it. And it's actually not in this collection, it's in a different collection. And so I bought the collection that poem is in, and then I saw that this one was published a few years earlier and it won the Pulitzer Prize. So I also bought this one and decided to read this one first. I actually really enjoyed the poems in this. Sometimes poems are so abstract that I can't get anything out of it because I don't know what point the author is trying to make, and I can't even like bring in my own life experiences to try to make a point. But her poems are not like that at all. They are very accessible, but also just beautifully written. The way she uses language is really, really beautiful. Reading the poems, I can tell that they would sound so beautiful read aloud because of the sounds that she uses. Yeah, I'm a fan, and I'm really looking forward to getting to the next collection. I'm hoping I can get through that next month. They were really good. So if you have any other poetry recommendations, whether it be like collections or poets, please let me know because I do want to explore this genre more this year. So those were all the books I finished. I've also been slowly reading Light of the Jedi by Charles Soule. This is the first book of the High Republic era. It's a new era in Star Wars set 200 years before the prequels, and it's a whole thing right now in the Star Wars novels. And this is an adult book, but they've also been publishing YA and middle grade books all set in this High Republic era. And it took me a while to get into it because this book has so many different characters in it, but now I'm about like 75% of the way through, and I'm really, really liking it. There have been times where I have cried, and I'm kind of switching back and forth between the print copy and the audiobook, and both are really good. I think for this one, I prefer the print copy, but I'm such a slow reader that I would never finish it if I didn't also listen to parts of the audiobook. I'll probably talk about this more next month whenever I'm finished with it, so I can give you a full review, but so far I'm really liking it. Those were all the books I finished in February. I kind of would like to start doing more of a lifestyle section of these videos where I talk more about things I've been loving during that month. Let me know if that's something that you're interested in, and if you're not, I guess you can always just skip those parts of the video. This month I've actually been really, really loving Wanda Vision, and let me tell you, I do not watch a lot of TV shows. It takes a lot for me to watch a show. Like, it takes a lot for me to watch the first episode of a show, and it takes even more for me to continue past that. WandaVision, I'm hooked. I love the way that it's telling the story, where it just like throws you in and then gradually reveals things. It is the first Marvel TV show that I've watched because like Nick Cage and Jessica Jones, I'm not really into watching superheroes punch each other. It's just not what does it for me. To have this show come and just like totally do something different from the other Marvel TV shows, I think is really refreshing. I love that they are exploring Scarlet Witch's character. I mean, she's so underutilized in the movies, and Elizabeth Olsen is a fantastic actress, and so you really get to see her act more in this show. And it's also like a really profound exploration of grief, especially as you go on. And I don't know, I've been really, really loving it. And that says a lot coming from me, who doesn't watch TV very often. The other show I've been watching, my husband has been dying to get me to watch Full Metal Alchemist. So we finally started that this month, specifically Brotherhood. And he has watched both shows, and I have watched neither. So we decided to start with Brotherhood because again, I don't like watching a lot of TV shows, and I didn't want to have to watch all of the first season and then all of Brotherhood. So we decided to just do Brotherhood. I like it so far. I acknowledge that it is a well done show, that the writing and the animation is really, really good. It's just been kind of heavy, not necessarily something that I can watch a lot of at once. We haven't really watched a lot of movies. Makeup wise, I had to get a new bronzer, so I got this Flower Beauty Heat Wave Luminous Bronzer. I really like it, and I've been using the popular Milani one, and this one is much more pigmented, and I have very fair skin, so I have to be really careful with it, but I really love the tone of it, and it is luminous, whereas the Milani one was matte, and I kind of like the luminous bronzer more. So the lipstick I'm wearing today is this Milani, I don't even know what this is called, but they just came out with these, and they're so good. They're so thin and comfortable and moisturizing, but the color really packs a punch. And then the other lipstick I like, so I wear this Milani Bold Matte lipstick in the shade 12, I Am Radiant, and almost like every one of my videos. I wore it in my last video about Avatar, and it's kind of like a terracotta. I really, really like it, so I picked up a different shade number 13, I Am Happy, which is kind of more of a pinky coral, and I think I wore this in my last monthly wrap up, and I love this shade. I think it's like my favorite lipstick shade I've ever owned in my life. I don't know, I really like them. Milani has been killing it with the lipsticks. The other thing I've been loving in February, since I was in a book slump this month, I've been playing a lot of Mario Kart, and I'm not great yet, but I am getting better. So that is how I've been spending a lot of my free time this month. I think I'm pretty good, but trying to get better. Alright everyone, so that completes this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and feel free to subscribe if you want to catch my future videos, and I'll catch you next time. Bye. Are we good, Emily? Today we are going to do my, what month is it? And I don't know. I recommend everyone. I've been wanting to read this for a long time because I love like the prequel area. No, they were deep enough. They weren't sometimes, okay. Poetry is really hard to talk about. She has a way with words, and I don't know if you can see that. I'm sorry. So this one is in Voyer, and yeah. I wear, which one is